All right, live stream should be starting up right now, guys. Welcome. Monday Night Football, Ravens and Colts. This game probably not going to be as exciting as we had Chiefs and Bills last night, but still $1 million to made up top, obviously. So I'll do my best to break it down. Again, we'll be doing a general Q&A, so make sure to leave questions in the chat. As far as news to go over for the slate, not a ton. One thing there's two pieces of news really. One are the Ravens and running backs. So Le'Veon Bell, who was active last game, they're not going to elevate him from the practice squad. Tyson Williams will be active. Now again, he was a healthy scratch last game, so would assume Tyson Williams gets mixed in. He's only 1.2K. Bateman is not returning yet for Baltimore. And we do have news that Miles Boykin will be activated. Now, how much work does Miles Boykin get? I don't know. He's still pretty far down the depth chart. He's number 5 in the depth chart, so he's still below Prochet and Duvernay. So maybe a small downgrade to those two guys. I'm not sure if Miles Boykin sees the field, but just thought I would mention that because, he's least active. So, that's kind of the news. If you guys are just coming in, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And let's get to some questions. So, let's see. Single entry, need the right players. Obviously, Lamar captain. You don't have to do Lamar captain. He's obviously the optimal. Dang, yeah. Sometimes you're just on a cold streak, so you'll bounce back. It happens. Everyone goes on losing streaks. Pittman captain for GPPs, I think that's fine. Pittman's getting a ton of targets. I think he's kind of established himself as the number one wide receiver. 12, and 8 targets, so he's averaging like 10 targets a game, 10 plus last 3 games. This is a game they're going to be playing from behind, most likely. He's going to be out there basically the entire game. I think it's a nice contrarian captain play. Cash last night, nice. Yeah, I had a solid night. Would have been a little bit of a better night if the Bills actually had to pass the ball in the second half, but they really didn't, right? It was just weird game script. The Chiefs had the ball for majority of that second half. I had a good night. McCole Hardman was a core play for us. He was low owned. That was big. Used him in the captain spot. Lamar captain with Watkins, Andrews, Wentz, Campbell, and Tucker. Yeah, so Campbell is the one risk there, really. Number 3 wide receiver here for the Colts. He does have the big play upside. He's a speedster. He hasn't had a big game yet, but I do think he's viable for tournaments. Should play probably around half the game, maybe a little bit less. Buckner in your lineups. Nice. Ad City, get this YouTube going downhill. What do you mean? Diggs and the cheetah guy. Okay, let's see. Does Boykin hurt Prochet or not? Maybe a little bit, right? If you take a look at the depth chart, he's number 5, so maybe a little bit, right? We don't know. We haven't seen Boykin yet this year. Last year he was number 3, number 4 in the depth chart, so maybe a little bit. It's hard to say. 0 touchdowns for Pittman, wild. Right? So, 0 touchdowns for Pittman, which is kind of wild. And he's still putting up double-digit fantasy points. And 0 touchdowns for Mark Andrews. You would think touchdown, regression goes the opposite way. They actually maybe get in the end zone. So, they've both gotten unlucky with touchdown variance so far. General strategy in Showdown. So it depends what you're playing. How do you handle the captain spot? It really depends. Depends on a different slate. Sometimes there's value I'm really confident in, like McCole Hardman last slate. This slate, I don't think there's a smash value play. But sometimes I'll go cheap in the captain to jam in the top guys. If you're building an optimal lineup, obviously to go Lamar Jackson. Cash games, you normally want to play both quarterbacks. I think Justin Tucker's pretty safe. He's probably the best kicker in the league, or one of the best. And this is a game that the Ravens are probably playing from ahead, so you might get more opportunities. Double-digit fantasy points in 3 of the last 4 weeks for Tucker, so firmly in play for value, yeah. Prochet or Tyson Williams. So is, let's see, do they have Tyson? I'm guessing he's going to be the number 2. Okay, so I don't know if I necessarily trust this. They have Devontae Freeman ahead of Tyson Williams in the depth chart. Both are risky. But yeah, like Williams, I thought was pretty solid when he got touches for the Ravens. I really was kind of surprised that they brought him down to or they didn't activate him that last game. I'm going to say Williams and just hope he gets back to his kind of normal role. Lamar captain with Andrews, Wentz, Pittman, Prochet. Is that good? Wait, who's the second guy? Who's the second to last guy? You said Ticket? Who's that? James recent snap counts? Are you talking about James Prochet? Yeah, so we can take a look at that. Baltimore, he played in 33% of the snaps last game. Let's see, week 3, he played on 22% of snaps. So not going to be out there a ton. Plus, you do have Miles Boykin now in the mix. So, again, maybe that hurts Duvernay and Prochet a little bit. Hines or Taylor tonight? So, kind of depends how you think the game flows. You know, Taylor is definitely a contrarian play because the Colts are most likely going to be playing from behind. But if the rare chance happens that the Colts are playing from ahead, you could get a heavy dose of Jonathan Taylor. Now, my issue here is he's expensive, not very involved in the passing game. They did involve Marlon Mack last game, where Hines is way cheaper, is their passing down back, and you would think that they're playing from behind. So, point per dollar, I'm going to prefer Hines. Straight up, it still would be Taylor, but I think Hines looks better for his salary. Yeah, so Prochet or Tyson Williams, it's tough, right? Both have some risk. Miles Boykin coming back, maybe that eats into Prochet snaps, and then Tyson Williams, what's his workload going to be? They have him right now 3 in the depth chart. I mean, my belief is I think he's their best running back. I think he's better than washed-up Devontae Freeman. I think he's better than washed-up Latavius Murray. That's just me, though. Hollywood Brown going to break the slate. He's got a lot of upside. Definitely viable for tournaments. Mark Andrews. I think Mark Andrews is very safe. Hollywood Brown, the riskier play. Andrews, very safe. Yeah, for NFL, I was looking at that. There's really not a ton I love. Or nothing that really stands out to me. Let's see. I'll say the over on Mark Andrews. I think Mark Andrews is a solid game. You would think touchdown regression is going to go his way soon. Baltimore's defense. I do think the Ravens' defense are viable. They're not super expensive at home. Playing against the Colts, Carson Wentz is turnover prone. So defenses normally I don't consider, but I do think that they are viable, yeah. Yeah, I'll talk about that on Patreon, like my go-to cheap option. I don't think there's a smash one on this one. There's a few guys that are viable, like sub 3K. Yeah, again, it's a tough one, right? Because both have some risk with Tyson Williams and Prochet. Again, my thoughts are I think Tyson Williams is the best running back for the Ravens, but right now he's number 3 in the depth chart. You have Prochet number 4 with Boykin back, so both have some risk. Boykin a viable dart. He might see the field. He might not. He's number 5 on the depth chart. He's $200. We just don't know. Yeah, I think Lamar in GPP, like should be 100% in cash games and captain. GPPs 35 to 40%. I think he'll be in the captain spot. Cash captain Lamar, Pittman, Andrews, Watkins, Hines, and Tucker. I would play cash games. You want to go for the highest floor guys, so I would play Wentz in cash. Lamar captain, Andrews, Wentz, Pittman. Again, who was that second to last guy? There's no ticket. Who is that? Trying to think who you're trying to say. Yeah, I'm not sure. So, whoever that second to last guy is, please clarify. Yeah, I don't know who ticket is. Tucker, maybe? If it's Tucker, yeah. I think Tucker's a safe play. Good kicker, probably one of the best in the league. And the Ravens are going to be playing from ahead, you would think. Yeah, Lamar captain with Andrews, Wentz, Pitt. I think it's pretty solid. Again, Prochet is the one risk there. Basically anyone, let's see, anyone kind of below like 2K, you're not going to feel great about, right? You have Williams, What's his role going to be? Wasn't activated last game. Don't know. Prochet had a solid game last game. You have Boykin in the mix. Still not going to play a ton most likely. You have the fullback. You have Marlon Mack, who did have 10 carries last game. Firmly in play, but didn't play in week 3. So it's like, there's a lot of question marks here. If you want to go to Freeman, sure. Right now he's technically number 2 on the depth chart. I think Williams is the much more explosive back. You have, third string tight end Josh Oliver that has had 1 target in each of the first 4 games. So yeah, really sub 2K. It's all risk. Justin Tucker is the best kicker. Yeah, I would say he's one of the best, if not the best. Latavius captain. So Latavius captain, my issue with doing that, I think it's viable, but he's not really involved in the passing game. Plus, Baltimore historically likes running a committee at the backfield. So it's fine, but you're probably going to need him to get in the end zone at least once for that salary. Hate the really high shows. Doyle, yeah, so Doyle, good. Thank you for bringing up Jack Doyle. I think everyone's going to play Mo Cox tonight. And the reason is recency bias, right? Everyone's going to see, oh my God, he had 19 fantasy points. He had 2 touchdowns. I got to jam in Mo Cox. Nope. Jack Doyle, much prefer him for the price. Jack Doyle outsnapped Mo Cox the first 3 weeks. The reason Jack Doyle saw limited snaps last week, he was dealing with a back injury. They limited him. He's no longer on the injury report. For me, again, recency bias, people are going to go Mo Cox. Give me the discount on Jack Doyle all day long. Duvernay at captain, it's a pretty big risk. He's close in price to Sammy Watkins, and I just think Sammy Watkins is a lot safer, right? He's had at least 7 targets in every single week, where Duvernay, 2, 0, 3, 6 targets. So if Duvernay was way cheaper, yeah, I think that would make some sense. Too close in price to me, to a guy like Sammy Watkins, who I just think is way safer. I think Hines has a good game. Yeah, so again, it depends on game script for Hines. If they do fall behind, I think he's going to have a pretty solid game because he's their pass-catching running back. If they fall behind a couple scores, like Nyheim Hines has a good chance to have a good game. Now, the rare chance the Colts are playing from ahead and they are playing from a touchdown or 2 lead, then he's probably not going to get a ton of work. Guys, make sure if you're just coming in to hit that like button. Would appreciate that. Does help me out. Kicker and the captain. I usually don't like doing that. But hey, Tucker, I mean, he can hit a 60-yarder like we saw a couple weeks ago against the Lions. Trying the JT captain, Hines in the flex strategy. Ooh, well, I'm trying to think how that would work out. You're gonna need a weird game script for that to work out, right? Where you play both Colts running backs. Like you're gonna need something weird to happen. You're gonna need Jonathan Taylor to score an early touchdown, and then maybe the Colts fall behind. Like maybe Jonathan Taylor rips off a 70-yard touchdown to start the game, and then the Ravens start pouring it on, and they're up 24-10 at half, and then they have to play from behind and use Hines more. So again, you could really think about like anything is viable, but like something weird like that is going to have to happen for that to work out. Not saying it can't. It's just you're going to need a really weird game script. Is Bell playing? Nope. Bell is not. Is Marlon Mack a lock? I mean, I wish I knew how much he was going to play. He got 10 carries last game. He did not play in week 3. Had 5 carries in week 2. He's really cheap, so I do think he's viable. I wouldn't say a lock, though. Streaming so early. I have NBA in a bit, and there's a lot of news for NBA, and we already have all the news out for NFL, so wanted to get a live stream out there. Yeah, I would prefer Tucker. Thoughts on this for GBP? Captain Pittman with Wentz, Lamar, Andrews, Hines. I think it's a solid build. Again, Pittman is a guy that I like as a contrarian captain play. I think he's established himself as the number 1 wide receiver. Yeah, Taylor or Wentz. For me, it's Wentz, and that's because I think they'll be playing from behind. And Taylor also lost work last game, right? It was a three-headed monster, which is really gross. 50% for Taylor, 31% for Hines, 31% for Mack. So I think Taylor's a contrarian play, but if they do play from ahead and it's a lot of ground and pound, that's where Taylor could pay it off. But I think I'm going to lean Wentz. Watkins captain, it's okay. I think he's relatively safe based on what we've seen the first 4 games, getting a good amount of targets. Yeah. You're playing the 222 on DK. Probably not. I usually don't play a ton on the showdowns. I usually play pretty contrarian, so I'll leave a lot of salary on the table or play someone super risky. Usually I don't play a lot on the showdowns. Brown or Wentz, last piece. Again, depends what you're playing. I think Wentz is way safer. I think Hollywood Brown does more upside than Wentz. Yeah, prize picks, I like the over on Mark Andrews. I think it's 11.5. 11.5 for Andrews. I think that can go over. Again, he hasn't had a touchdown yet. If he gets in the end zone, that's basically automatically going to go over. Prochet is a punt play. Again, there's some risk for those Baltimore wide receivers, right? We have Miles Boykin active. So Prochet is the number 4 wide receiver. He played about a third of the game last game. Where are we at here? A third of the game last game. You have Miles Boykin, who's right behind him now and activated. So maybe Prochet lose some snaps. It's a risk. Viable. You're not going to feel amazing about it. Any rules? No, because again, I only build one lineup, but personally, I think building a lot of rules for the show on slate is a mistake. You want to prioritize being unique. So I see people always talking about building rules like if I have a wide receiver and the captain, I have to play as quarterback. I think that's a massive mistake for large field tournaments because you want to really prioritize getting different. So yeah, I don't build a lot of lineups, but I wouldn't build many rules. I think the people that do that for large field tournaments are making mistakes. How do you feel Wentz captain with Lamar, Hines, Andrews, Watkins, and Tucker? I mean, Carson Wentz in the captain spot does have a little bit of rushing upside. I personally don't love it. Wentz captain. I think there's other guys I would rather go to. You're playing the $100 swing entry. Should I play the 222? Depends how confident you are. Again, showdowns, there's a lot of luck. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot of luck involved. So that's why I don't play a ton of action. Brown or Boykin? Are we talking Hollywood Brown or Miles Boykin? Straight up, it's obviously clearly Hollywood Brown. I think Boykin is just a large field tournament play. He's number 5 in the depth chart. Might play a little bit. Might not see the field. We don't know. First game back. Depends what you're playing. Lamar is the clear guy in cash. You think the window of Captain Lamar? I wish I could see the future. I think he's the safest play. Cash games, he should be 100% on captain. GPPs, he's probably going to be around 40%. So I would say over a third of the field in GPPs will have Lamar on the captain. And it's just because of the rushing upside he brings. So I think he'll be about 40% owned. I think if you play the game 10 times, he's probably in the winning lineup about 40%. I think ownership would be pretty accurate for how many times he's actually in the winning lineup. Lamar captain with Andrews, Tucker, Prochet, Pittman, and Wentz. Yeah, again, Prochet the one risk there. Everything else looks pretty solid to me. All right, guys, coming up last minute. So any last minute questions, throw them in here. I know it was a quicker live stream, but I did want to get one in for you guys. Again, it's not going to be as exciting as Sunday night game, but still money to be made. And I appreciate you guys coming to check out the live stream too. Really do. Again, I'll be live for all the show and slates. And also, if you're an NBA fan, once the regular season starts in about a week, I'll be doing live streams daily there too. So you're going to see me a lot for NFL and NBA. Let's see. Ooh, that's a good question. Who's better, Kyler or Lamar? Kyler. But that, I mean, I am a little bit biased. I love Kyler Murray, but I think Kyler is the better quarterback. All right, how do you feel about Pascal? He's fine. I slightly prefer Pittman at a similar price. But Pascal has been getting more red zone looks. He has 3 touchdowns as opposed to Pittman that has 0. I just think Pittman is a little more upside. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I'll have NBA videos and live streams for sure. What's the snap difference between Prochet and Duvernay? Yeah, so we can go over that really quick, and then I'm going to call it. So Prochet Prochet last game played 33%, Duvernay 45%. If you go, let's take a look at the week before. Duvernay played 57%, Prochet played 22%. Again, you got to factor in that Boykin is active, and he might take a few snaps away from those two guys. Not for sure, though. But yeah, those are the snaps last few games. All right, guys, I'm going to call it on that. Good luck tonight, guys. Enjoy. Hopefully we have some big winners. Hopefully someone in here wins the millie. And I'll see you guys back here Thursday for Thursday Night Football.